Welcome everybody. Happy Monday. Hope everyone had a great weekend. Looks like we've got a tiny but mighty group this morning. That's what I'll call it. Tiny but mighty. So I thought we'd start out, it's the Olympics, of course. I assume you guys know it's the Olympics, maybe not. The Winter Olympics. So I decided for fun to look up most obscure sports played at the Olympics. I'm not going to quiz you guys on this because I don't know if any of you would get these. Maybe you would. I mean, maybe some of you are big Olympics buffs and you're like, oh, yeah. But here's a couple that came up. Most of these are really Summer Olympics, but I'm like, hey, let's just go for it. So, uh, synchronized swimming, you might remember that one. That one actually I remember. Solo synchronized swimming. That was 1984 to 1992. That was actually a Olympic event. It was kind of cool to watch back in the day. Then they had live pigeon shooting. That was in the 1900s, 1900, live pigeon shooting. And then pistol dueling. They actually had pistol dueling as a Olympic event. They used wax bullets though, so nobody got hurt, or they might have gotten hurt, but nobody ended their life. Let's put it that way. And then another one, which may not surprise you, but I think it's a funny one, is tug of war. They had tug of war between 1900 and 1920. So think about all those times you were at field day at your school. You could have become an Olympic athlete after that, right? So there you go. All right. So you guys are muted. You're auto muted now. They changed the setup of this. So it feels like I'm talking to myself, which I do a lot. I talk to myself a lot, but when I see people and I'm talking to myself, that's when you're like, there's something wrong with Clark. He's talking to himself. So if you want to talk, raise your hand. Um, what I was going to say is, we spent the last couple of weeks talking about the 5 reasons for a marketing conversation. Last week we talked about flipping the call, flipping a reference check call, or it could be flipping a recruiting call to a marketing call or whatever. We talked through that a little bit. So the 5, just as a refresher, the 5 are you have a top performing talent to share, that's an MPC. They have an opening and you have the solution to that problem. That's the open position call, right? You're flipping a call, flipping it from recruiting to marketing, or it could be marketing to recruiting. That happens a lot these days, right? You got a referral from someone else in the organization. Hey, Sherry, I'm calling you. Scott mentioned your name, and I wanted to formally introduce myself. You solved the business problem for a client, and you wanted to share how you did that with a prospect, right? And then the the bonus one, which I already brought up, is the reference check call, right? Flipping the reference check call, which is a great thing to build into your plan. So we've talked about that a lot. Today we're going to talk about discussing techniques to generate leads. And so I'm just curious. We've got a great audience here. We always have a selection of people right out of training all the way up to veterans on this call. So what are some things? Does anybody have anything they found in particular that they're like, yeah, this has worked really well for me in identifying leads? Now, when I say leads, most often you think client leads, client prospect leads, but it could be candidate leads too, right? I've got some people right now working on searches that are trying to find candidates, and it just goes the same way. Some of the positions are hard. Roy Lassiter's not on this call. Uh, he's looking for maintenance supervisors for Mississippi, and they don't put their stuff out on LinkedIn. They just don't do that. That's not who they are. So it could be anything. It could be either side of it. So I'm just curious. Anybody here have anything that's worked really well for them in terms of identifying leads? I got you stumped, Chris. I think I have to unmute you, Chris. Sorry, or no, you can do it. Go for it.
Yep.
Thank
So I'm constantly glued to my LinkedIn. There are just so many tidbits that you pick up. I will connect with hiring managers from every single company that I want to pull from, for sure. And I follow their stuff. And when they post what they're looking for, I'm looking at all those likes. I'm also with previous people that I'm connected with. Most people will leave their connection requests, connections open, and you can view all the people that are in their, all their connections and stuff like that. I scroll through those things. I connect with company pages and follow them. And when some new interesting information comes out and people like it, I'm absolutely looking at those people also, and I'm screenshotting it over and over. I mean, at least 5 to 10 times a day, I'm screenshotting stuff where there's candidate leads for sure.
I mean, those are awesome, Chris. Those are great fundamental things that hopefully, if you haven't been doing that or you hadn't thought of that, those three things basically, you said liking, basically following company pages, following people. If people have their open connections, kind of looking through those and seeing if there's anybody that you want to check into there, right, Chris? And then what else? Let's see, open. I tried to write them down as quick as I could, Chris. Did I miss anything? Did I
I really
cover it
don't
pretty
speak quickly. I don't know why you have a problem.
good?
Never been told that before. Um, yeah, so look, anything that gets posted, whether it's a
Yeah.
hiring manager posting a new job, whether it's a, thank you, Megan, you speak just as quickly as I do. It's a hiring manager posting something. I'm pulling that up. Someone's connections. You're connected to someone. I will go through my ATS. I will find the perfect candidate that I've spoken to in the past, and I will look at all their connections. I will blast through every single one. And 99% of the time, you're going to find other people that you need for another job in the future anyway. So connect with them. Might as well get them all. You get so many leads that way. So hiring managers, when they post jobs, look at the likes, follow company pages. People are always supporting their company. Look at those people, and then look at people's people that they're connected to in turn.
Thank you, Chris, for elaborating on that. No, that's great. And I would say it's funny you mentioned that, Chris. I was talking with one of my offices last week, and they said, "Oh, I came up with this great idea. I'm going into the open connections on these things now and looking at people that have like-minded skills that I need, and I'm starting to do connections with them." So it's funny you said that. I'm so glad you did. Thank you, John. Go ahead.
Yeah, and this was kind of something we used years ago when I was on the agency side myself. We, especially for those roles that those people aren't on LinkedIn, like those maintenance supervisors, those technicians, stuff like that. And we would exhaust it. And we'd only do this for companies that we had good relationships with. Anybody we spoke to that maybe wasn't interested, wasn't looking, we'd offer a small referral bonus, 250 bucks, 500, depending on how big the job was. We'd offer, hey, if you want to refer someone to me, we're offering a little bonus, and it depended on how desperate we were and how good the client was. But we did that a few times with some success.
It's funny you say that, John. I was talking with Yako. I don't think he's here, and he actually did that. He had a search. He works process engineering, very specific in the beverage, or I'm sorry, in the food industry, and that's a situation that exactly he ran into for a candidate referral. So I'm glad you mentioned that, and I would just say that if any of you are in that position, we as coaches can certainly talk with you about that. But John, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. Any other? We got some good ideas. Chris, go
Yeah,
ahead.
just to John real fast,
Yeah.
if you're going to offer a referral bonus, please just add, and I'm sure you know this, but a referral bonus if they land.
Yes.
Because the
Yeah,
last thing
and
you want is someone saying, dude, I gave you a name. Where's my 250?
Yeah.
yeah, and it
Yeah.
has to be, they have to know you referred them. You have to give them name, phone number. You have to have some stipulations around it. But yeah, absolutely.
Yep. 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 Good point, Chris. Good point. All right. Any others? Any other thoughts? All right. Well, those are great. Thank you for sharing those. I really appreciate it. Here's some other ones I had just to think about. And these actually in themselves could be topics at different times. So one I call the resume reversal. That's not an official patented name, but basically it's really simple. It's just taking the resume. Each candidate resume is a wealth of information. And so a lot of times when we get into this business, we kind of get a one-track mind. I'm talking with this candidate about them. I want to learn about them so I can decide if they're the right candidate to work with. But what we overlook is there's a ton of information. Where did they work in the past? Where were those companies going on at those companies? Were they expanding? Were they contracting? Did they have anybody that they worked with that particularly was a strong coworker or maybe the supervisor they really liked? All that information is intel, it's market intel, and you can use that to generate leads. So when you're thinking about your interviews, your CDS calls or having conversations, try to look at it like a detective, right? Try to look at it as though, hey, I'm not only learning about this person on the call, that's why we're having this call, but what else am I learning? Hey, I see that you worked at this company 2 years ago. What was that like? Did you have any projects that you really liked working on? You mentioned that you left for advancement, but was there anybody that you really enjoyed working with over there? What would they say about you? But when you ask those questions, it's also giving you information. It's giving you market intel. So definitely think about that. Think about that. And you can track people that have worked. If you have a company that you're particularly interested in, your database, once you start to build it, you'll find people that have worked at some of those companies in the past, and you can use that as an opportunity to get market intel. So that's one. Okay, another one. Another one we've talked about. You guys have heard me talk about this one. So it's not new. Hopefully, some of you are doing that's reference check flipping, right? That's a great way to get market intel. You're doing a reference check. You're talking about, hey, I'd love to hear more about Sherry. I'm working with her on a confidential basis. She said she had a great relationship working with you. Tell me about how great Sherry is. Hey, by the way, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask you about where you are right now. What's going on over there? How do you guys handle situations where you're under duress and you need the best talent out there? What are some of the challenges you're facing in the marketplace today? It could be any of those questions that help you generate market intel, right? So that's another approach to think about. So another one is for some of you, you might say, well, I don't have this yet, but it's on your radar. It's your existing candidate database. You're building your candidate database. Your candidates in and of themselves, you can call them once you have a relationship with them and ask them information. I just wanted to, John, we haven't spoken in a while. What's the status with you right now? How are things going over it where you're at right now? That's market intel, right? Um, Also, referrals from either your personal circles or your connections, personal connections. This is a big one. I would tell you that some of the offices that start out of get out of FFT, they go through the training. The first thing they do is they go to their personal network and they get referrals that way and they start that way. It's a quick way to get ramped up, right? At least you're talking with people there's some kind of connectivity with, sorry, and it helps you kind of ramp faster. So personal referrals, personal connections. I'm sure most of you are doing that, but if you're not, if you haven't thought about that, that's a great way to go. Um, Really, you're not there yet, many of you, but you will be. Placed candidates. Placed candidates are awesome for market intel and for helping you with leads. Hey, what's going on over there? Oh, well, they're looking at adding on some more talent. They're looking at doing a project. Some of the veterans we have on this call, I'm sure they've gotten great leads off past place candidates. It's always a good idea to stay in touch with those people all the time and consistently. And then we've got some veterans of trade shows and industry shows on this call. I know we've got a couple of them on here because they're great at presenting on those topics. Chris has talked about both Chris's, both Mr. Hillman and Mr. Rosenthal both talked a lot about trade shows. I actually had Nolan Newell attended a trade show recently, and so did the Lassiters. Both attended trade shows in the last 2 weeks. Nolan has a really strong lead from that. It was quite an investment for him to go. He kind of stretched his checkbook a little bit. I don't want to steal his thunder or jinx him, but he got a really good lead out of that he's hoping. And then the Lassiters too, they had some great connections, great referrals. So when you get to that point where you can afford to go, or if you can get into those, I would highly recommend it. And I know I've got some advocates on this call that could tell us more about that when the time's right. And then I mean, Chris Rosenthal did half my job for me today. He talked about LinkedIn. LinkedIn is just a great thing to look at and constantly be active in. And if you're not on it, and I don't want to oversell LinkedIn. It bothers me to some respects, but hey, use what you got. Use the tools that you have. LinkedIn's an easy tool to use. You can have free access to it, or you can have paid access to it. The fact is that even if you have free access, you can have Victor will recommend up to 100 connection requests a week as a goal, 20 a day. So you can add as many people in a week if you're consistently looking at it, consistently working at it. So, all right, we're going to run out of time. See, I just got to the first half of my session. These 15-minute sessions, I'm going to have to talk with Laura about this. So, what we'll do next time is I won't be here next Monday. I'm actually taking off. I get to go get this. I'm going to a K-pop concert with my daughter over the weekend. So if I come back with my hair a different color or whatever, you'll know why. Maybe I'll have a funny picture to share with you because guess what? I have to stand in line with her to get an autograph too. So I'm going to have me around all these little K-pop, uh, you know, uh, entertainers. And now, mind you, you don't know me. I'm 6'4". I think these entertainers will probably be like 5'1". So it might be a funny picture. I'll try to share that. That being said, good to see everybody. Sorry we couldn't finish it, but we will. Have an awesome week. We'll talk soon, all right? Happy Monday, guys. Bye-bye.